In Venezuela, President Nicolas Maduro led a meeting with the Council of State and Defense of Venezuela to take measures in the face of violent acts by the extreme right wing. During the meeting, President Nicolas Maduro announced the creation of a special commission to evaluate the country's biosecurity system with the help of Russian and Chinese advisors. He also approved a fund of $10 million to support the victims affected by the fascist acts of the Venezuelan extreme right. Likewise, the President also ordered the deployment of the special plan within the framework of the second phase of the Republic plan so that the Bolivarian National Armed Forces and police forces developed a patrol and protection plan for the streets, avenues, urbanization and communities.
Precisely living an attempt of a massive destabilizing attempt in Venezuela. We are about to experience that, and we are denouncing it. On time, since 2023 and now 2024, that they were trying to use the electoral campaign with sponsorship of the United States and the Colombian drug dealers to mount an opposition force for hate, criminality, and violence, and attempt during, after, before, or after to launch an offensive against the peace of the people, against the peace of the citizenship, against institutions, against all of Venezuela.
President Maduro also announced that the utmost is being done to reestablish peace in the country.
We're going to extreme all the actions to protect the people, to reestablish the peace, to capture the people that are criminals, and so that Venezuela in justice, and to reestablish the normality. We have already talked with the sectors, the economic sectors, so that they progressively start reopen their businesses and the supply, and the people can go back to their normal activities, all the pharmacies, all the activities.
After President Nicolas Maduro led a meeting with the Council of State and Defense of Venezuela to take measures in the face of violent acts by the extreme right wing, the head of state addressed the nation from the people's balcony of the Miraflores Palace. During his statements, the president strongly condemned the destabilizing and fascist actions of the extreme right in the country and expressed his commitment to ensure citizen security and the well-being of the people. Moreover, the Bolivarian leader called on the people to mobilize starting on Wednesday, July 31st, of the results of the presidential elections of July 28th.
We will defend the flag, the homeland, and the people from fascism, and we will win against fascism, against hatred.
Meanwhile, hundreds of Venezuelans took to the streets to mobilize in favor of President Nicolas Maduro after he was re-elected in the elections of last Sunday, July 28th. Among banners, flags and slogans, the Venezuelan people have concentrated in different points of the country to defend the votes, peace and sovereignty of the country. It is worth mentioning that the supporters assure that the National Electoral Council is a 100% transparent organism and that the extreme right wing must accept defeat. The National Assembly of Venezuela rejected the acts of violence promoted by the far right in the country. During the ordinary session of the National Assembly, the deputies expressed their support to the results issued by the National Electoral Council, which confirmed the victory of President Nicolas Maduro. The congressmen backed the decision to withdraw diplomatic personnel from countries that reject the will of the Venezuelan people, expressed at the polls on July 28th. They also condemned the violent and terrorist acts financed by the international and national extreme right wing that seeks to destabilize the country and destroy the state and its democratic institutions. The president of the Venezuelan National Assembly, Jorge Rodriguez, expressed the true intentions of the extreme right during last Sunday's presidential election campaign.
The plan of these sectors of extremism was not an electoral plan. They were not participating in elections. They were not going to cities and towns to win the favor of the voters with their arguments. They were going to cities and towns to create their violent groups, to give the money, to distribute the drugs, which were going to be used for the moment in which they decided to take off their clothes of goodness and religiosity and show themselves as they are.
On the other hand, the Attorney General of Venezuela, Tarek Williams, referred to acts of terrorism by extreme far-right groups to sabotage the results and transparency of this election. In this sense, he pointed out that those acts were controlled by the authorities and those responsible are being identified.
We provided information through our informative networks about the ones who were accountable for these actions. Unfortunately, they used again many minors, teenagers, people under the effects of drugs who they were to burn down, and they will tell us that it is a peaceful rally as it happened in the past, but these detainees and prosecuted people, they will place them on the list of wanted for the government.
The General Attorney of Venezuela also detailed how the public institutions have been assaulted by these terrorist attacks.
They burned down health centers. They tore down the monuments of Venezuela. They tore down a monument in homage to the Saint Jose, and likewise the brutal attack to public venues as the headquarters of the electoral council and the headquarters in Suate. Armed people launching bombs, burning down venues and public centers.
Furthermore, the General Attorney assured that the Public Prosecutor's Office will continue defending peace, dignity, and the Venezuelan people in the face of attempted coups by foreign powers.
Respective courts, and I want to ratify that the Prosecutor's Office on 24 hours in midnight and morning, evening, we are active for real time to act against these criminals, because as I said initially, this prosecutor office is different, is defending peace, dignity, and the Venezuelan people, which I want to congratulate, and I give my top support for keeping up our unity and defending sovereignty and not allow the interference of external powers that want to aid glory to the brave Venezuelan.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. But before we take this first break, let's see live images of the tranquility of Caracas, Venezuela at this hour. We'll be right back. Stay with us. We are seeing images at this moment of Caracas, the capital of Venezuela. As we can see, there is tranquility. This is the main avenues of the capital. There's no one on the streets. This is taking place after the president addressed the people from the balcony of the people in the Miraflores Palace, following the recent attacks against the country and against the peace by opposition groups throughout the nation. But, as the president said, cities are recovering their tranquility thanks to the work of the officers and militaries of the country that follow the orders of President-elect Nicolas Maduro. There's peace, there's tranquility in the capital of the country, Caracas, Venezuela, at this hour, which is 15 minutes to 9 p.m. local time. And this is the atmosphere in the capital. After several hours of uncertainty due to the violent attacks by groups of the far right wing in the country.